In manual handling, each of the following activities is performed by one or more employees: lifting, holding, lowering, pushing, pulling, carrying, or moving the load. In the European Union, 34% of employees manually manipulate cargo. In mining, 62% according to statistics. Manual handling of loads can cause diseases due to a gradual and cumulative damage to the musculoskeletal system through continuous lifting or handling activities. For example, lower back pain. Severe trauma such as cuts or fractures due to injuries at work. In the European Union, employees mostly complain about back pain, 23.8%, and a significantly greater number of 38.9%
The risk of injury
suffer
to the
from
back
this
is
problem
higher
in
if the
other
burden
European
is too
countries.
heavy.
There is no precise limited weight that is safe, weighing 20 to 25 kilograms. Generally, this weight is hard to pick up for most people. If the load is too large, it is not possible to abide by the basic rule for lifting and carrying. The muscles will get tired too quickly. It is difficult to grasp, and for this reason, the load can slip and cause injury. Unbalanced and being unstable as well as hard to grasp. The risk of injury is higher if the task is too hard. For example, if movement is frequently repeated for a long period of time. Includes non-physiological positional movements, for example, tilting or twisting of the whole, raised arms, folded joints of the arms, excessive stretching in order to reach something. It also includes frequent repetition. The following features of the working environment can increase the risk of back injury. Insufficient space for manual handling of loads can lead to non-physiological position of the body and the unintentional distribution of the load. Uneven, unstable, or slippery floors can increase the risk of injuries at work. High temperature creates a feeling of fatigue in the work, and sweat makes it more difficult to hold the tool, which means that greater strength must be used. Low temperatures can cause stiffness of the hand and make it more difficult to grasp. Insufficient illumination or lighting can increase the risk of injury, or to force an employee to occupy an unnatural position of the body to clearly see what works. Some individual factors that may affect the risk of back injury include inexperience, lack of training, insufficient knowledge of work, as well as age. Risk of lower back disease is higher because the person is older and has longer work experience. Physical dimensions and abilities such as height, weight, and strength, as well as early back diseases. Preventative measures should be applied in the following order of knowledge. Elimination. Consider whether it is possible to avoid manual handling by hand, for example using electrical or mechanical manipulation equipment, such as forklifts or conveyor belts. Technical measures if manual handling is inevitable. Consideration should be given to the use of auxiliary devices such as cranes, trolleys, and vacuum lifting devices. Organizational measures such as the rotation of employees in workplaces and the introduction of sufficiently long breaks should be considered only if eliminating or reducing the risk of manual handling by hand is not possible. Before raising the load, you need to plan everything and prepare for the task. Check the following. Know where you are going. Ensure there are no obstacles in the area where you are heading. Keep the load tight enough. Your hands, loads, and any handles are not slippery. If you raise a load with someone, you need to know both what you are doing before you start. When lifting loads, you should use the following techniques. Place the feet on the side of the throne where your body should be above it. If this is impossible, set the body as close as possible to the load. When use the muscles of your legs. Take the load as close as possible to the body. Raise the load and carry it with arms stretched towards the ground. Basic rules on cargo transfer conditions. In the event of occasional load lifting without the use of a special technique, the weight of the load raised by men should not be greater than 25 kilos and for women 12 kilos. For manual lifting of heavy loads, it is necessary to select workers of special abilities who must be trained for the application of proper lifting and transmission techniques. If the road under which the cargo is loaded is tilted, the inclination must not be higher than 25 degrees, and the path should not be longer than 50 meters. Cargo in cylindrical packaging must not be heavier than 30 kilos. It is important when pushing and pulling is done, use your own body weight. To have enough support on the floor so that you can lean forward and backward. Avoid twisting and folding back. Ensure manipulation devices have handles, holders, so that you can use your hands to use force. The height of the lever should be between your shoulders and waist so you can push, pull in a good neutral position. The manipulation devices should be maintained in good condition so that the wheels are of adequate size and that they will turn freely, and the floors must be firm, flat, and hard. In the following image, we have the recommended mass of the load depending on the position in which it is carried. In the following table, we have risk in relation to the total load. What must be remembered is whenever possible for lifting and transporting loads, use auxiliary tools such as hand stroller, pallet, hand forklift, and so on. Do not raise by hand weight heavier than 50 kilos. Use lifting techniques when lifting, and whenever possible, lift the load in pairs or groups. Depending on the type of load, use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as leather gloves for protection against stings and cuts, protective shoes with a steel cap for protection of the fingers and feet. When heavy objects are falling, shoulder and neck shields are to be used to shield the shafts of the load carried on the shoulder. Protective hood to protect against corrosive material transmitted in bags on the shoulder, and if necessary, other personal protective equipment in accordance with possible hazards.